Hello. Okay, we'll start in a minute then. Hello. It's just not a live stream if I don't have some technical difficulties. Merry Christmas, everybody. If you're watching the replay of this, we are 2 days out from Christmas. I refuse to say the whole 2 sleeps thing. I wanted to get some like Christmas music going on my little music thingy, but I ran out of time. So we get smooth jazz, which is kind of Christmassy. I had to make the obligatory text to my mom Hey Fred, how are you doing? I'm glad you could join us live today. Wow, so I'm looking at the live stream and it's really far behind. Let's see, is it really that? Oh, no, okay. Okay, it's not that far behind. I thought it was really far behind, but I just had to like scroll forward and now we're good. Yes, very early Christmas. So I have I don't know if you can tell, this is my contribution to the ugly Christmas sweater deal. We got Minesweeper. Almost said Minecraft. Been around kids too much. But, and of course my necklace of choice. What is happening over here? Oh, that's better. So welcome to today's live stream. We are taking questions if anyone has questions. My name is Tracy Lenz. I'm a petroleum engineer. I am the owner of Pecountry Oil and Gas. Although now we're just Pecountry. I can't get used to that one. I just always want to say the full oil and gas thing. We are officially Pecountry Inc. Gotta get used to saying that. So we do a weekly live stream every Tuesday at noon to answer questions and to cover topics of interest. So hello, Alice. Okay, Mom. I will always reference that one. Okay, somewhere on my screen, I have the little thingy where I can click on it and make y'all's chats like pop up on like right here. I can't find where it is. Oh well, it's fine. Y'all don't get highlighted today. It's just gonna be what it is. Okay. So today, what is the plan for today? So I thought we could do just some like chit chat fun things since it's 2 days before a major holiday here in the U.S. But if anyone has any serious questions, always happy to answer those. I can turn my brain on. I do have 2 9-year-olds here. One, at least, I think both want to come say hi. I don't know when that will happen. But they did just have donuts, so it might be very sugar-induced. And I apologize in advance. Oh, an email with questions. Yes, I can do that. Okay, let me pull that up. Oh, I have questions. I found them. Okay. All right, so let me read them out loud instead of just reading them to myself. I was making sure I knew how to read for a second there. My brain is still like getting into brain mode today, so we'll see how today goes. It normally turns on. I just sometimes can't control it. You know how that is. Now, let's see. The first question. We'll just go ahead and jump into it. First question. How do you know that the status of a well that's been drilled? How do you know the status of as well? I can't talk yet either, apparently. I'm sorry. How do you know the status of wells that have been drilled and currently shut in? I've looked online to see the status, but it doesn't look like they're making any headway on the fracking element of it. These wells are in Upton County and are in the Drilly Idle wells. I've seen those. I laughed at that name. So, I'm reading it out loud, so if you're listening, you might not be able to hear what I just said, but Drilly Idle, as in Billy Idol. There are 14 horizontal wells under this name prefix. So how do we know the status? So there's a couple, we have time today, so I'll go into my little tricks, but I do have some both normal ways and slightly interesting ways. I don't know if they're interesting. I think they're interesting. And then the second question, when drilling companies are updating their well status, they often change things back and forth. An example is lease ID or operator detail, where it goes from one status to another. Let's see. So it looks like you're looking at the well database. Yeah, I think that I'll just answer that one real quick. Their status changes, I think, are an artifact of how they update things. So like they'll have one table that puts in as a null, and then the other one that updates it with the real one, with the real number, and that will just happen back and forth. And so the historical status will look like this changed to null, this changed to number, this changed to null, this changed to number. I have seen that myself when I'm looking at well databases history, like activity feed. But we'll go ahead and dig into the drilly idle wells and how to know the status of them. So the short answer is that if you go to so these wells are in Texas. Each state is going to be a little different. So if you're watching from a state that is not Texas, or if your wells are in a state that's not Texas, then things are obviously, as I just said, different. But if we go to Texas, and I wonder if this is going to work. We'll pull up desktop. Let's not show my email. Okay. Let me actually just move back to here so I can get my email off the screen. Okay. Nope. Okay. So this is the Railroad Commission, and I'm 100% sure that y'all have seen this one. What is this thing here? There we go. Okay. On the Railroad Commission, there are ways to get to the status of the wells, and I imagine, Fred, you're a very smart individual. You've probably found the places on the Railroad Commission that you can look this stuff up. They keep changing it, so I am not the foremost expert on the Railroad Commission. There are people who can give 3-hour talks on just how to navigate this site. But if we just go to so I'm on it's railroadcommission.state.texas.us oil and gas. Yeah, you say you've gone to the Texas and viewed the info on the wells. Yeah. That's I figure you have. I'm kind of showing this for the people who may not have been to this site before. So the oil and gas here, this has all of there's quite a bit of data underlying all of this. So sometimes it's easiest to get to what you're looking for by going to the GIS viewer, which is a map. So anytime you see the word GIS, just think map. So if you're able to find it by going to it, that might be easiest. You can also go to, so the proration schedules would be how much they're producing. The yeah, we'll go to GIS viewer. Now, if you launch it, so our Precon estimate system pulls everything into one place. So yeah, it is pretty much the same stuff. So this is the public view. We do have, let's see. Let me actually do something real quick. One sec. So we end up having everyone over at our house for Christmas. So I'm somewhat prepping, but also working. I mean, business owner. I don't know, I think we just never stop working, right? But this is the holiday that I kind of like cruise through because everybody makes sure Christmas happens. You know, I feel like I have to be responsible for other things happening for other, you know, holidays, but for Christmas, everyone's on board with it happening. Okay, so I was popping up this. Yeah, feel free to chat. I have no problem with that. I feel like Alice is ready for Christmas. Tracy's not ready for Christmas. I feel like Alice has been ready for Christmas since like November. So if this is your first time seeing this, this is our Pecan Estimate app. It is a, I'm on the free portion. What you're seeing here is a view that is within our portfolio subscription, but this stuff that I'll be showing you here is part of the free stuff. So I'm just going to search for, I think I hear 9-year-olds coming. I apologize if they're not so. Upton County. Why, hello. All right, you want to say hi for 2 minutes? Okay. Okay. So they can see what's up here.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Why is it flipped? I don't like it.
It's not flipped. Well, I guess it is a little flipped. So they can see it in real, like if they were looking at us. Yeah. You want to say hi, like
Crystal.
wave? Oh, Crystal's saying hi too. All the kids are here. Okay. You're just mesmerized. Yeah, it's Grandma. Susie said, oh, it's Grandma. Okay. All right. I think that's good for today. Okay. Say wave bye. Say Merry Christmas.
Are you done?
Glass, whose name is Fred, said hello and Merry Christmas, hook 'em horns. I teach her well. Okay. All right. Go back to donuts.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Just deer in the headlights. Okay. Like I have the TV screen that has the monitor of like what's happening in the video, and they're just like staring at it like, what is? That's funny. Okay. So back at it. We are looking for the Drilly Idle Wells in Upton County. I'm on our Pecan Estimate app, and I feel like I need music in the background. Let me know if this is distracting to have like, just like a really, it just feels too dull otherwise. All right, if that's too loud, let me know. Feels better to me, have music going. So I'm in Upton County. I'm gonna search for the search box here. Really idle. Search. Oh wait, I think I put it down here. I think I already kind of marked it on the map, but let's see what the search comes up with. I wonder if it actually takes up to 2 minutes. My speed should be faster, but this shouldn't be based on speed. It should be based on how many wells it's sorting through. Probably since I'm on a live stream, it's not going to. But I should have grabbed coffee before this. Darn. Who wants to bring me coffee real quick? Just kidding. Please don't bring me coffee. I can get coffee after this. Well, that's just going to keep searching, I guess. But I have it highlighted here. So this must be from a prior... Oh, look, now it came up. All right, so our Drillly idle wells. Let me turn off we have our cartoon map, which has the market value. Let me turn that off. Okay, the music's a little loud. I don't think I have. No, I don't have like more chill music, I think. I think that's all I got. That's much too intense. And that's much too not intense. Okay, we'll just keep it without music. That's fine. All right. So the Drillly idle. Sorry, keep getting distracted. We have these green wells where the surface ooh, I moved the thing. Okay. The surface location looks like that's these guys, right? Looks like it. So you have Pennywise wells next door have been very successful, you say. Aha, yes, these Pennywise wells here. So we have them as active, but we know that we're lagging behind public data. So a lot of times once we see a completion on a well, we mark them as active. But let me look into some of the additional things that we can look at. So here's one way that you can get to it. So if you do have your portfolio or your tracks here, you can click on here and get to your well list. And we have our Drillly idle wells here. We have them listed by activity. And yeah, okay, so we don't have first production date on these, which lines up with what you're saying. If I just put on Drillly idle wells, yeah, just completed. Okay. So I don't know why these two are showing. I don't know why these two are showing active versus these are completed, but we'll go ahead and click into one to go directly to the state well files here. So on our site, we have, if you go to the wells detail, you can get to the state well files link and the well database link. And the state well files link here goes to that GIS viewer that I was talking about. It takes you right to that particular well on the map. So this is the section we were looking at here. And if you go, so first step is looking at the permit. So because the permit shows if they canceled anything, amended anything, changed anything. So you can go to that and it will also give you the status. So if you go to that status, oh, you guys can't see over there. If you go to that status, it will say, like at the top here, what the status of that well is. Sometimes, I mean, it's you have to assume that you're clicked on the right well, so which is always not always the easiest thing to do. So this is step one, is to see, was it canceled? Was it, amended? Was it changed? So it looks like they have the completion in here. So final completion, spud date, drilling completed, completed date. And so we know that it was completed. Okay. So then second step is to go back to here. And the first thing that you'll see is the drilling information. And you can also get to any well logs that are present here. But if we scroll down, hi Mary Peacock. You're not late, you're fine. Thank you for joining us. If you scroll down on this well identity results, you can get to all the records that have been filed for this well. So that's anything that they've submitted. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay in the scanned records being available. But that's how you can, especially an older well, how you can get to it. And then we have our completion record. Hopefully this isn't too tiny. I know it's probably pretty tiny, but I think if I zoom in, it only zooms in on. Yeah, I don't think there's a great way to zoom in here. You can get to, so let's see, we were on the completion record. If you keep scrolling, you can get to any production data also. And then if there's any production data, and also double check that you didn't actually switch to another well. This is the same well. It's saying that it is shut in. And this is probably what you're seeing, that is a shut-in well. A lot of times they'll call it just shut in between completion and first production. So it doesn't mean that they gave up on it already. It just means that they're waiting on something. And let's see, wellbore status. We have open. I mean, everything here is looking like they are still planning on looks like they're still planning on finishing it. Okay, so sometimes you can't get much more information, but if we go to here, we do get the this is the production and disposal for that particular well. Sometimes they will be submitting the production to a like a temporary ID, and it won't be listed here, but they will be submitting the production. It's just in a different place. I don't think that's the case here. I think that this is just not yet producing. Now that's kind of just the standard way. So we're pulling in that information here. We don't have necessarily more information yet. There's a couple little tricks. I don't know how much of tricks I can actually count them as tricks, but we'll count them as tricks. So one of my, let's see if I'm able to get to it quickly. I don't know if I can get to it quickly, but was it Sentinel Hub? So with all of the satellite imagery, sometimes you can tell what's going on just from the satellites. I'm going to switch to here just so I don't so I can log in without accidentally giving away something I'm not supposed to. Okay, so I think I have so with the satellite imagery, sometimes you can see if there is a rig or a frac crew or something like that is nearby, that they might be waiting on, might be working on. That's what I'm trying to pull up. Mary, how are you doing this Christmas time? Are you ready for Christmas? Merry Christmas. I'm sure you've never heard that one. I appreciate it. But, I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up fast enough to make it worth me doing right now. But I'm going to give it a go. feel free to chit chat while I see if I can pull it up. Ready? How early ago were you ready, or were you just like you're ready now, and that's as soon as you were ready? I feel like you might be one of those like ready far in advance type of people. Okay, I don't think I can get to it fast enough. I kind of uninstalled the plugin from my QGIS where I have all of the stuff on, and yeah, I don't want to like make y'all forced to be like sit through that, but we'll poke around. Sorry, I'm changing my password on this one site. Yeah, how's your back feeling, Fred? Okay, I think I could show you all what I'm doing now. So I'm on the Sentinel Hub website. So this is their browser, which lets you browse all the different satellites that are around. I will say there are some more like other paid for sites that it's better on the drilling side. So like Energy Domain has a data provider that they actually they maybe not specialize, but they seem to be better at getting the early time data from things like satellite imagery. I think that's more tied to the drilling rigs rather than other things, but their statuses seem to be more up to date than other sources I've seen. We're working on getting something going with them where we can pull in their statuses also, but for right now, they do have it where you can subscribe by county. So if you're looking at just one county of data, you can go and get theirs. I'm curious actually now, since I have a login, I'm going to see just that one well, if it's different. If it's different, Fred, it might be worth looking into it at least. Okay, I think their site might not like my browser that I use, so I think I'm just gonna have to like every time I try to search for a well, it will probably work just fine because it doesn't. I want it to like zoom to the well. I can't get it to zoom to the well, so I'll just manually zoom to it. So this is theirs, and this isn't a competitor. It's a different. It's a competitor to maybe like well database is how I'd frame it. Okay, Fred, you say your back's not too bad. We'll be getting surgery again in coming months. Not looking forward. Yeah, I can imagine you're not looking forward to it. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully it gives you a little break over Christmas. Let's see. Upton, we're over here. Wait. What section was it? I forgot already. Okay, so here's Crane. I used to work in Crane. It's right on the border. So I'm thinking that it's this stuff here. Okay, let me turn this on. Do we have wells? Reset. Maybe my subscription's not working. Maybe I shouldn't be showing off their stuff. It really does work well. I think something's up with my subscription. Okay, I'm thinking it's like right here. Right above so there's a delay. I probably went away from it in that time it took. Yeah. Is this it? That kind of looks like it. I think it's this browser it doesn't like. But I don't know what it is about this browser that it doesn't. It's just it used to work. It's almost like I did some type of pop-up or something. Oh, wait. Maybe it's this React thing. It's using React and it wants to. Nope. Okay. Well, I tried to pull it for you. I tried to pull it. Oh, we're so close. I really don't know. I'll have to ask them what's going on with that. Yeah, I can see it. When I click it, there must be something up with my. Anyway, so I'll try to get their statuses on these wells and send it to you. I think all I can see is the status being what is this even? Can I hover? Nope. Maybe if I do this. Oh, I think they have the statuses at the bottom of the hole. So it looks like they have very similar statuses where it's these long ones and they're gray. So it's some type of other, which probably means it's just they're as completed right now. That's my guess. Yeah, I'll let you know if I figure that out and what's going on with that. For this browser here, if y'all have time, I have time. We don't need to be in Romania though. Let's see. Look at. The only thing is they don't have. Yeah, I know, Fred. I'm just poking around at this point. So on this site, we probably can't get to it directly, but just showing you, you can get commercial level satellite imagery for pretty cheap. I think it's like $10 or somewhere where if you just need one snapshot, you can see what's going on just for pretty low amount of money. And you can even filter by what the cloud coverage was and different things like that. Again, we won't search for it directly here, but this is probably where I would go if I'm trying to find like direct things and I can't like drive out to the site itself. Of course, if you're in the area, you can always drive out and see what things look like. Now, what are you looking for? That's something that we could also look at is if you see, let's look at the things that would keep them from coming online. Because that'd be probably one of my questions that I would have is why aren't they online? So let me set up my map real quick so we can look at that. And I think I do have a video on why they might permit but never drill. I don't know if I don't remember if I go into why they would drill but never complete. That's probably an even, crazier question to people. Like, why would you spend that much money without, actually completing the well? So if we look at what's going on in this area here, we have, lots of wells being drilled, and let's just brainstorm some things that could be happening. This is without me doing like a dive into the statuses of all the wells, when they were drilled, what their production history are. So Fred, you say you're thinking they haven't completed the fracking parts yet. Maybe there are other wells. They suspect they're going to be better producers. Potentially. So if they have the status of completed, the most likely case is that they have been fracked. You can go to, I don't know what the lag is on Frac Focus, but they do have to file with Frac Focus that shows all of the chemicals that were pumped into the well. I know on well database, I think here, they do pull in the Frac Focus information on the frac ingredients. And am I logged out and logged in? Okay, I'm logged in, so I should be able to see the details. So this is not showing frac information for this particular well. What does this history show? So the U.S. government requires all of the chemicals that are being pumped down hole to be filed and on record, and they created a database called Frac Focus, and that's that actually helped engineers quite a bit and able to figure out what competitors were doing, like what chemicals were being pumped and what types of things were being pumped. What? Oh, this is what you were showing with it going from no value to value. Yeah, I see here. Let's see. Sometimes in the files, okay, so we have a directional survey. So the directional survey tells us it was actually drilled because that's the actual points showing like where it was drilled. This is them getting permission to transport oil and gas, different methods. Completion form. Nope, still just the transport. Okay. The groundwater advisory. L1 should show all of the, well, Doesn't. Okay, we'll go to the W2. Okay, here's our oil potential test. So we have a gamma ray. So a gamma ray is like the baseline type of. Okay, so Fred, you say you've looked on well database, didn't see anything about fracking. Look into frac focus. Yeah, I think they pull in relatively quickly from frac focus, but I didn't see anything there either. So this is for oil wells, you have one type of form. For gas wells, you have another type of form. But this oil well potential test is what needs to be filed for Texas when they're showing like what is the formations and producing capability of those formations. And this was back in March. It says it was completed. Everything here is making me think that this completion date and all these things is when they fracked it. That would be my interpretation. Let's see what else they have going on here. So this casing is the thing that protects the rock from falling in and protects the oil and gas from penetrating the groundwater and other formations and vice versa. So this is just normal. We have the tubing. There's no tubing record. So, I mean, I'm actually not seeing anything other than the initial drill. So maybe it wasn't completed? I mean, once it was there was tubing and a frac, you would see this part here filled out. So maybe it wasn't completed yet with this particular filing. So the things that I would look at as to like what would make them not complete it initially right after drilling it. What I would do is turn on like a view that would show the age of the wells. So a lot of times these things take quite a while to drill and complete in series. So they could be waiting for all of the wells in this area to be done being drilled. Maybe they were waiting on the productivity of these Pennywise and Davy Jones wells to, know what formations they specifically wanted to complete, or maybe how they wanted to complete it. A lot of times we've done tests, we as in past companies I've worked for, have done tests where we were seeing what a certain type of completion did, or maybe a certain chemical or a certain additive or a certain spacing of the perforations that we're putting down hole with the fracture. We were doing tests on that to see if we saw a noticeable difference or if it, went good, went bad, that type of thing. And you want to see some results from those wells that you're doing that test on before you roll it all the way across the field, or else you'll have no way of knowing. Like, you have to have some controlled method of testing. And ideally, you're changing one variable at a time. A lot of times you don't have enough time to do a full test on it like that. So you're changing a couple variables, not quite so you're doing very subpar scientific tests. Like if you're looking at it from a science, methodology, like you're not testing enough wells, you're not giving it enough time, but you don't have enough time to do those things. So you don't have enough time and enough wells to run a 1-by-1 real life test on everything. So you're doing a mixture of science, like, should this work? Does the science support it? Are there like lab tests that support it? Does all the evidence support it? And then real life, is that true? Like, okay, we have this hypothesis that these chemicals should make the reservoir produce better. But there's so many components and variables that are going into that you really have to put it into a like real life test and actually deploy it on some wells. And you might be wrong. We've definitely messed up wells before having a hypothesis that this should make for a better well, but we didn't consider some type of like flow mechanism or some type of shale interaction with that particular chemical or something. And instead of it going better, it actually went way worse. And you had to go back and remediate it. So whenever you're rolling out new technology, you want to do it in stages, but you also don't want to complete all of you might have 30, 40, 100 wells waiting to be completed. And what do you do with those? Do you use the old technology or the new technology? Like you don't want to waste the opportunity to have the new technology, but you also don't want to accidentally roll out this new technology too soon. So they might be testing some new technology on surrounding wells and seeing if it works. They also could be waiting on budgets like to fit for that particular type of profile that they're expecting. Maybe they have a very specific, like this is COG, so they have big budgetary planning that goes into all of this. Hopefully they're working on a method to make sure these wells are the best producers in the area. I mean, ideally every well is better than the last, right? So yeah, that's pros and cons for mineral owners when they're the first in the area to be developed. Like this section next to you, they aren't getting any of this stuff developed, right? But the rock should be very similar. Now, unfortunately, they aren't getting that money today. It's worth less today, but by the time the operators get to these sections on to the west of you, they should know how to really optimize that production and get the most out of there. So like total dollars actually might be higher, but it's in the future. So yeah, future dollars always worth less than current today dollars. So that's possible that they are waiting on technology, figuring stuff out. It could be that they're having scheduling issues. So they might be trying to balance getting just the right pricing with their frac crews. And it's very expensive to, the frac in general is very expensive. It's probably about half the cost of the well is the frac itself. And it's a really big operation. So we looked at pictures in past live streams where you have probably 100 or so trucks and people that are all coordinating, and I would guess millions and millions of dollars of equipment sitting on the location. Now, when you have that many people and that much equipment deployed any one place, you have to be very careful with your scheduling, and there's a very high demand for those frac crews. The frac crews are also the first ones to get laid off when prices go down, because when prices go down, when commodity prices go down, the service providers are the ones that get hit first because they're the easiest cost to turn off, to stop. Like if you need to, it's kind of like if commodity prices or if the economy starts struggling, all the auxiliary like fun things are the things that go down first, like the Christmas shopping and the fast food and those things that are more like the electronic purchases, those indicators of consumer goods that are optional, while the things like milk and bread and electricity are the last to go. So the service providers are the like Christmas spending of the oil and gas industry. When things start becoming tight, people pull back on completing wells first, because that's the easiest thing to flex. So the frac crews are the first ones to be let go. Like it's a very fluid. They have the biggest swings in terms of like employment. So they run pretty lean. So they have pretty tight schedules, and they're pretty well booked out. And then also the service providers. This is like Schlumberger, Halliburton, those type of companies. When I say service providers, they have big contracts with the companies that are giving them business in order to like try to flatten that fluctuation, right? Like, okay, well, if you use us for the next year, if you commit to this many fracs, if you commit to this amount of time with our crew, we'll give you a discount. And it's like crazy discounts. Like it's I always joke about Schlumberger pricing was always, all right, it's $1 million for this thing, but with the special Chevron discount, it's only $10,000. Like it's just funny how some of these contracts go. But having that those contracts makes it to where if you are in that line, it's easy to maintain that line of fracs. But if you get out of line, or if you start up in a new area, if you have more wells than expected, or if you need to move things around, it sometimes can make it to where you're waiting quite a long time in order to get that frac crew back in a way that doesn't cost a whole lot of money. You also want crews that know what they're doing, so you don't want to just use like any frac crew. Like it is a lot more standardized than it used to be, but there's always the option for like the mom and pop frac crew, which there's less mom and pop frac crews than other services because they are so expensive. But you can like fit in wells, but that's usually the more expensive way to do it, and it also induces like more question, like if something happens with those wells, was it those wells themselves? Was it the reservoir? Was it Halliburton's chemicals versus Schlumberger's chemicals? Like, I don't know. So you want to keep things consistent. You want to go with what works, but sometimes that schedule can take a while to get going. And then also you have to coordinate that with your land commitments, like which of the leases that you're orchestrating are needing things to be happening in order for that lease to be fulfilled. So we talk a lot about leasing on this channel. So if there is a continuous drilling commitment, if there's a continuous activity, any type of activity that's required in order to hold the lease, a lot of times that's another thing that's affecting schedules. So maybe this particular lease doesn't have as harsh of deadlines when it comes to the completion. Maybe this particular lease had a lot of deadlines related to the drilling. Like there was a lot of terms around when things needed to be spud. And so they had to come in and drill all the wells, but then there weren't as many requirements around completing them. So they have a little more flexibility there. Like there's quite a bit of things that are going into the scheduling of these wells. I know that people jump to, it's probably just because prices are low, they're waiting for prices to go up. I don't jump to that first. There's not too often that I've been in situations where we had like $40 oil, $30 oil, trying to figure out what to do with these wells. And it's not too often that you're like, well, should we just shut them in? Or not complete them because of pricing alone. Now, if the area is and you were doing it because you were trying to fill out and grow, but then pricing went down, like commodity pricing went down, and then you'd pull back on the most like tier 2, tier 3 acreage that you had. But this probably isn't tier 2, tier 3 acreage. I haven't looked into those Pennywise wells, but you're saying that they're good producers. Probably are. Now, they do like, so those Pennywise wells, I will word of caution on if you're like scaling those up or down so this based on a typical well. Sometimes shorter wells do better per lateral foot than longer wells. Most of the time, shorter wells do better per lateral foot than longer wells. So if you're kind of normalizing them, just know that would be the case where the shorter Pennywise wells should do better per foot length than the longer Pennywise wells, just from the nature of it. It's harder to get something to flow, like harder to get liquid to flow 2 miles down a pipe than 1 mile down a pipe. The pressure that's going in with that. But if it's the case that this is good acreage, and I think just off the cuff, let me hide wells. Turn this on. So yeah, maybe it's getting to the edge of like the prime location. So maybe that is a consideration here. Maybe there's one of the formations that's thinning and getting stratigraphically not as strong as others, and maybe you don't have as many benches to target or something. If we zoom out, you are kind of on the edge of the Midland Basin. But if I were to be on an edge, I'd want to be on the west edge. The east edge gets rough, especially in the glasscock. There's like this glasscock nose. But the west edge, like it's pretty good. You're butting right up against the reef structure. Like this central basin platform was the reef structure that like fed the basin. So there's a lot of potential there. I think the most likely situation is that it's a scheduling thing and that they're optimizing their budgets, and not necessarily that they're waiting on, like they're not so much in a wait mode. Yeah, so prices aren't too low yet. I don't really think that's an issue, you say. All the information you provided, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, there's some areas of Colorado where we've been waiting years for those wells to be completed. It's some Chevron sections, and I took the time, plotted it up, and they really do just take their good old sweet time completing those wells. From the research I've done, I've not seen too much of an impact on if you let the wells sit between drilling and completing. If you let the wells sit between completing and producing them too long, that can be an impact. So typically once they're fracked, you aren't going to let them like wait months and months and months before turning them on. You want to use some of that pressure to help get the water back up out of the ground. But there is like a soaking idea where you're letting the frack kind of settle and like solidify so that you're not producing as much sand. There's a lot of like theories, but typically once the well is fracked, you're going to see it produced within a couple months. But between when it was drilled and when it was fracked, I need to look into the data a little more, but I've not seen any research showing that there's a significant decline in production if you let it sit too long. So I know that is something you can flex. You can have like your drill schedule be more independent from your frack schedule. If you have a large inventory of drilled wells, that's an expensive way to do it. Usually you're only going to see the bigger operators doing that because you're just deploying a whole bunch of capital without having any like production to pay for it if you do that strategy. So you're not going to see the little guys do that. If you have a mid or small operator, if they drill a well, if they haven't completed it within 6 months to a year, then probably something's wrong with it because they probably can't afford to wait too long to drill a well and not produce it. So it's just going to be your bigger operators like the majors, the COGs, the Exxons, the Diamondbacks, the Pioneers, Chevrons, Oxys, any of those that are now all the same company. It's those are the ones that are probably that will have the most flexibility with schedules. So yeah, if you start to see prices go down into like the 40s, then yeah, probably see some pricing effects happening, but probably not until mid 50s at the most. So okay. Martha, here you are. You hit the tail end. I was just about to say, well, I think that's all I'm going to do today. I think all y'all here got our last week's special where we offered the free one-on-one session for anyone who joined our live stream. So I'm going to go ahead and offer it up. If you watch this and let me know within the next, we'll just say before the end of Christmas Day, if you watch this live stream, you can feel free to send me an email, tracy@pecantreeog.com, and we'll give you open up more time slots for those free reviews and consultations. So if you have a question that you'd like to be handled more in a confidential nature, like not on a live stream, if you want a mineral checkup, we're calling it, we'll go ahead and schedule a 20-minute session where I can look through like any questions that you have, any portfolio questions you might have, any like just maybe what I would recommend for your particular situation. And I'll go ahead and offer that to anyone who sees this between now and the end of Christmas Day. And I'll probably be pretty flexible on hours there. But yeah, feel free to send me an email. If you've already emailed me, don't worry about it. You're already on the schedule. You've already gotten your scheduling email. But yeah, we'll go ahead and make that another Christmas offering. Martha, I hope you have a very blessed Christmas also. I know that I'm very blessed here at this household, and thank you all for joining us today. I know there's probably plenty more things you could be doing on your Christmas week. Yeah, have a very Merry Christmas to you and your family too, Fred. I hope that your back treats you well over Christmas. I know it can be a thing that comes and goes for sure daily. So, Merry Christmas, and I will see y'all. Let's see, what's next week? I think we're doing it next week. Yeah, I got to keep testing. We got to see what technical difficulty I'm going to have next week. So tune in to see what fun I have next week, and we'll see you then. All right, bye.